Inclusivity is one of the most important foundations of all media, as well as society. The concept of inclusivity alone is objectively a good thing. When you make your cast full of all different shapes and sizes of people, when it's appropriate, you have the potential to make a more interesting piece of work. And as for society, the fact that all individuals of all identities can live their life outside of discrimination is an amazing step forward for the progress of humanity. However, with all good things comes a bad as well. Due to the scars of the past, the concept of inclusivity is being misused and abused in our present by many individuals amongst marginalized communities, thinking it's justified simply because of their marginalized status. This results in a bizarre form of hypocritical discrimination, where something or someone appears to look inclusive on a surface level, but if you look at their work beyond its exterior, it's clear that it's also discriminatory towards others. This is a toxic occurrence that I've been noticing amongst many pieces of media, companies, and even people. An occurrence I've decided to call inclusivity bias. This is actually going to be a huge first for my YouTube channel because for the first time I'm going to be reviewing a person as opposed to a piece of media. Ezra Miller is a celebrity actor that plays as the Flash in the DC movies. On his spare time, he's also a model for gender-fluid photo shoots, as well as a gender-fluid activist. If these were the only things that were notable about him, he would be harmless and fine and I wouldn't be making a video about him. But, as you've probably guessed, that's not all. To keep it as simple as possible, this guy is the human personification of Twitter, in the sense that he is an actual psychopath. Most notable for his erratic, violent, paranoid, and straight-up nutjob-ass behavior outside of show business. The dude has stirred up so much trouble, so much public disturbances, and so many crimes and so many arrests that there is an entire Reddit thread of this guy's whack job antics. It ranges from little things like being caught with drugs and disorderly conduct to terrifying information like starting cults and accusations of grooming minors. The guy is an actual menace to society. And with cancel culture and political correctness being the norm behind the scenes nowadays, it's pretty easy to present the following question. How the hell is this guy not in a prison cell? I wonder why. Okay, I'll spare you the pretend suspicion. Obviously, the reason why is because of his inclusive, quote-unquote, identity. You see, to go further into detail, Ezra Miller does not identify as either gender. The guy, according to various interviews, doesn't even identify as a human being. That doesn't make you look insane. Nope, not at all. But yes, I will say that I do respect Miller to a small degree because it takes balls as a celebrity to come out and publicly say these things about yourself. But it's beyond clear that this supposedly inclusive identity serves as a tool or maybe a little barrier to excuse him from any of his degenerate actions. The bias of inclusivity isn't directly coming from Ezra Miller himself, but it is coming from the way society treats him despite him being a friggin' lunatic. That's why the title of this video is simply his full name. It's for simplicity. But yeah, that's basically what this video is going to be. It's going to be a series of me calling out and bringing to your attention some of the many crimes this person has committed, and also displaying how the public reacts to these crimes, and also displaying how regardless of the severity these crimes have, he's still getting away with these acts simply because of his little inclusivity shield. Also, a very important side note. Yes, we have established that Ezra Miller identifies as non-binary, but we're just gonna call him by his default pronouns for the sake of not confusing the viewers of this video. Let's begin. These repeated offenses and controversies are events that have been going on for over the span of 1 to 2 years, and within that time, plenty of other celebrity actors are being penalized and punished for the exact same things. Sometimes even less, and other times, more often than not, these things could just be simple accusations with no proof whatsoever, like Johnny Depp and Vic Mignogna. Let's provide some examples now. Let's take a quick look at Chris Brown. Yeah, remember that guy? As I'm sure we all know, back in 2009, he viciously assaulted Rihanna and then very quickly turned himself in for doing it. He does regret the decision and still makes videos talking about how he felt like a monster after doing it. But regardless of that, this guy's public image is permanently permanently disfigured. When you think of Chris Brown, do you think of that guy who made a couple of songs back in 2007? Or do you remember that guy who beats fucking women? It goes without saying that there's a lot of awful stuff you can do as a mainstream performer, and beating women is definitely one of them. Which is exactly what Ezra Miller did this year in 2022. Twice! The first time it was all recorded on camera. I'm not showing you guys the footage because you know how YouTube is, you can search for it yourself. But yeah, he choked out and slammed the girl into the ground because he's effing crazy. The dude recording and the female in question were both joking around. Miller, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I guess he took too much cocaine that day, took it totally deadpan seriously, strangled the bitch, and slammed her into the fucking ground like it was Kane wrestling The Undertaker. The second time he attacked the woman was in a private get-together in Hawaii. For unknown reasons, but honestly we can jump to conclusions on what they are, he got kicked the hell out and he angrily reacted by grabbing a chair and throwing it wildly at a woman, striking her in the head and giving her a half-inch cut to her skull. So, what was his punishment for these two actions? Well, as for the first occurrence, he was never even arrested. He was just kicked out of the establishment he choked the girl out in. That's it. As for the second occurrence, he was only put behind bars for a little bit, and his bail was set for, only $500. And as I'm sure you can guess, that's effing pocket change for a movie star. Furthermore, the Twitter pitchfork mob that usually hunts people down for stuff like this had absolutely no comment on it whatsoever, despite performing pretty much the ultimate cardinal sin on Twitter, which is disrespecting women. Gee, I wonder why. So, Chris Brown attacks a woman and gets vilified for life. Meanwhile, Ezra Miller attacks women twice, one of which is on camera, and his punishment for these actions are basically nothing. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Now let's take a look at another celebrity, Kevin Spacey. In 2017, Anthony Rapp, another actor, accused Kevin of trying to seduce him way back in 1986, when this dude was effing 14. Good grief, what an awkward way to come out the closet. Spacey, unsurprisingly, claims to have no memory of this incident since it was literally ages ago, but he did offer a public apology because he might have been drunk at the time. Regardless of this apology, this surfacing accusation ruined this entire man's career. It caused Spacey to get dropped by his agents, fired from his show House of Cards on Netflix, and in the movies that he already finished acting in, the directors of the movies he was in have gone so far as to straight up delete any scenes from movies where he was present in them and reshoot them with other actors to take his place, despite the movies basically already being finished. The guy's ability to work on the big screen has essentially been crippled beyond repair. So one thing's absolutely for sure. One of the worst damn things you can perform when it comes to being a public figure in mainstream media is sexual harassment. You know, like Ezra Miller did multiple times throughout the years of 2020 to our present time. He's repeatedly groomed and harassed women and attempted to manipulate them, as accused by nearly 5 different potential victims, the parents of these victims included. Despite all these accusations, he's never been put behind bars or done any time or probation for any of it. And once again, the massive social media platforms that are always down to hunt down and cancel toxic celebrities are dead silent. So once again, basically scot-free. Now let's take a look at Drake Bell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all know this one. This was pretty recent. In June of 2021, Drake was arrested in Ohio on charges related to child endangering and pedophilia. Apparently, the dude was grooming an emotionally unstable girl with issues back when she was 15. While he should be in prison for life for being a degenerate sex predator, any sexual acts during the court case could not be proven, and thusly, he only received 2 years probation for sending her explicit text messages. As for his public figure though, he is completely shunned by society. He cannot show his face publicly anywhere, and he can't do his little performances on stage at local bars at all anymore. The guy has been cast out like a goddamn leper. As you can see, and as it should be by the way, child endangering and preying on minors is the absolute worst thing you can do ever? That goes without saying, but you know. But yes, no one, and I mean no one, should be getting the hell away with it at all. Which is exactly what Ezra Miller did. He has multiple allegations of manipulating people for sex and grooming multiple minors. Oh, we'll get to that. So yeah, the guy has done lots and lots of degenerate shit. All the while, during this insane stuff that Ezra is doing, what is Warner Brothers' response to his antics? After all, throughout this trouble he's making, Warner Brothers is basically his current employer. So how did they react to this? Dead silence. That's how they reacted. They aren't saying a damn thing. In fact, it's pretty goddamn obvious that they're just pretending that nothing is happening. After all, Warner Brothers immediately stepped into action and fired Johnny Depp for completely unproven abuse claims from a passive-aggressive, lying, manipulative sociopath. But now, they're completely silent when Ezra Miller is involved, even though Miller is wreaking havoc across the goddamn planet. Okay, I feel like the point I'm trying to get across is pretty obvious at this point. The only logical motive behind him getting this special treatment, while everyone is getting shafted royally, and deservedly so, but never mind that, is a desire to make sure that Warner Brothers as a company looks inclusive on a surface level. But let me ask a question. Is it very fucking inclusive towards the woman that got chokeslammed by Miller? Was it very inclusive to any of the other people who have been wronged by this freak show? The answer is no. And thus, this is an inclusivity bias. Inclusivity is not the act of just straight up giving someone special treatment based off of their identity. It's based off of treating everyone fairly. And I gotta say, it's not very fair to the victims of Ezra Miller's degenerate ass crimes that this guy can do all this shit and just walk away from it like none of it happened. The fact that the guy is clearly a criminal nutcase but still freely capable of working alongside Warner Brothers is clearly a move made for the sake of not having a PR nightmare from SJW freaks on Facebook and shit talk and all those other crappy social media places. Like, what other explanation is there? Why? Why else would you keep this guy around when others have been canceled for way, way less? It's not like Ezra Miller is irreplaceable in his role as the Flash or Fantastic Beasts or whatever. Look, the Flash's personality is not fucking fleshed out, okay? None of those goddamn DC characters are. And his outfit covers a majority of his body. So slap any other Caucasian male with a decent jawline in that dumpy ass suit and no one will care. In terms of his role at the workplace, he's as expendable as a fucking McDonald's cashier. So again, why? What other reason would there be aside from him having his little inclusivity shield protecting him from the natural consequences? The saddest thing about all of this nonsense is that despite the fact that Warner Brothers is actively making the decision to turn a blind eye to Miller's antics in order to make their company look more inclusive, they're ultimately just reinforcing one of the most common stereotypes of Hollywood and high society. If you're the right type of person, you can get away with whatever the fuck you want. Oh, and by the way, Ezra Miller knows this. Don't believe me? Let me show you some more stuff. Look, Ezra Miller is crazy, but he's not stupid. He knows for a fact he can do whatever he wants as long as he tosses around his little Twitter buzzwords in real life. And you may be watching this video with considerable doubt and skepticism on that, thinking that maybe he's just a loony that doesn't know any better. Which, by the way, is totally understandable if you don't have deeper context into this freak. So, allow me to divide a section of this video to prove the fact that he does know exactly what he's doing using two separate pieces of evidence. The evidence in question, of course, is more records of his erratic antics in public. In February of 2022, a woman named Nadia, an individual who has chosen to only publicize her first name, invited Ezra Miller into her house to stay around while the annual Berlinale Film Festival at some film festival, I don't know, was taking place. During that time, Ezra showed off that he is a fucking loon. During the time Ezra spent at Nadia's home, apparently there was a massive incident that Nadia decided that she wanted to publicize to make sure everyone knows that this guy's a wacko. This was her tale. Apparently, in the midst of Ezra squatting in this woman Nadia's house, he rolls up a cigarette and tries to smoke it. Nadia politely asks Ezra to only smoke outside. He does not. Nadia insists that she doesn't want smoking in her home and follows up by saying that if you're gonna squat in someone else's place, you're going to follow the rules of the homeowner, as it should be. Ezra's response to this very simple request is, and I quote from this article, this is word from word what Nadia experienced, "I'm a maker of planets, tobacco is sacred," Ezra said. Right. After that, apparently Miller went into an insane, massive tirade, ranting and raving about how he could do, quote unquote, whatever they want, whenever they want. Then, after making that bold statement, he, very interestingly enough, began to make wild accusations towards Nadia, labeling her a transphobic Nazi. Yes, and keep in mind, Nadia is partially Jewish, so that just turns the tastelessness up to 1,000. Nadia eventually snaps and just tells him to get the hell out before she calls the cops on him. Ezra left when she threatened to call the police, but yeah, the fact that that even happened is kind of an issue. So yeah, quick recap on that story. Whenever Ezra doesn't get his way, he just labels anyone that dares to oppose him an evil transphobe and says that he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Interesting. Now, if you still don't believe me when I say that he knows what he's doing for some weird reason, let's take a look at the second piece of evidence that I wanted to display to you guys. In March 28th and February 2022, Ezra Miller was arrested once again in Hawaii. But this time, things were different because there is actually publicized body cam footage.
31.
I'm being arrested for disorderly conduct?
Yeah.
Okay. I was assaulted, you understand that, right?
Okay.
Well, you should have told us that instead of running away and playing all of these theatrics. You could have just told us that.
I'm sorry,
No, you're not
officer.
sorry. You could have took this thing real quick.
In this video, he says even more amazing bits of BS throughout this recording of the body cam footage. So allow me to just display the quotes that he stated throughout this arrest in the video.
Getting arrested for
He's
disorderly spitting somebody's
Okay, the
face.
guy in that bar declared himself as a Nazi. I have it on film, and he attacked me.
Oh yeah, totally. You know all those dive bar patrons who openly declare themselves as Nazis? Yeah, sure, bro. Yeah, sure. We got another fantastic quote you can vaguely hear. The guy says that he was attacked in the bar for... I'm not making this shit up. He says he was attacked for making crypto NFT art? Yeah, that's totally why a guy would break out into a fist fight in a bar. Yeah, totally. Okay, and as for the last quote that I'd like to bring up, this one is really good. Check this out.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights.
See, look, there it is right there. Oh, look, I'm non-binary. Oh, you're just a sexual predator. You touch my penis. I'm non-binary. You can't touch me. Nah. Like, you see what I'm talking about here? Look, my point is this. This dude is crazy, but he ain't fucking stupid. He's not. He knows the game that he's playing, okay? He knows for a fact that as long as he appeases the mobs of wokesters and PC police online, he will always get what the hell he wants. You think it's just a total coincidence that whenever he doesn't get his way, he verbally weaponizes Twitter buzzwords like triggered and transphobe and Nazis and I don't know, all that other bullshit? You think it's just a coincidence that whenever anything doesn't go his way, he starts labeling anyone that dares to oppose him an evil neo-Nazi or whatever? He starts using all these stupid-ass internet buzzwords that only people on the internet would get butthurt over? NFT art, bro, I'm getting beat up because of NFT art at a dive bar. You know all those dive bar people that know what NFTs are? Yeah, totally. Like, it's such obvious bullshit. Look, you cannot let this guy just run around and do stupid shit just because he's a non-binary man. You cannot. Like, you know what? It reminds me of that one episode of Family Guy where Peter finds out that he's retarded, so he just runs around doing whatever the hell he wants, and nobody questions it or bats an eye.
Sorry, retarded.
Oh, that's okay then.
Don't know any better.
Oh, bless your heart.
Jeez, didn't you hear me a second ago? I'm retarded.
Oh, you're just curious. Well, let me show you how everything works down there.
The only difference is, right now, this is totally unironic and happening in real life. Look, I know I'm beginning to really lose my temper here, but what pisses me off is that I'm not even 100% angry at him. It's not just him, okay? It's the stupidity of people that keep enabling his behavior. If you keep letting this freak do stupid stuff, that means you're just letting him know he can do whatever the hell he wants, simply because he runs around with his little inclusivity shield. But at this point, it's way too late. And as a result of people not doing anything about him, he was caught doing legit the worst thing he has ever done. In 2022, as the crimes and reports of Ezra's erratic behavior continued to pile on top of each other, people were slowly becoming less and less afraid of opening their mouth about this guy. TLDR, the guy's getting Me Too'd. Finally, as the worst of the worst, Ezra was accused of repeatedly grooming minors. There are multiple cases and articles available to show you guys, but I'm only focusing on one because I don't want to be here all day. As quoted from a Native American family that lives in a reservation in North and South Dakota, a girl called Tokata, age 12 at the time, was repeatedly preyed on and attemptedly groomed by Miller for over 5 years. And at the time, Miller was 23 when he first met this 12-year-old girl. At first, Tokata's parents didn't see anything wrong with it, because the reason why Ezra was in Native American reservations to begin with was to assist with the indigenous tribe during their Dakota Access Pipeline protests, which was a movement created to stop the construction of industrial pipelines reaching their lands which they consider sacred. But after Ezra finished his business there, he was still reaching out to Tokata online, which, once again, she is 12 or 13 at the time. He would fly her and her entire family to London on tour for his movies, and according to court case files, he tried to sleep in the same bed as Tokata when she was 14. On top of that, Tokata's parents have repeatedly accused Ezra of performing all the telltale signs of a textbook manipulator: emotional and physical abuse, expecting the victim to show a display of indebtedness towards him, psychological manipulation, gaslighting, overbearing, overly controlling behavior, and the list goes on. After almost half a decade of said grooming, Tokata's parents finally put their foot down and issued a restraining order on Ezra. No sexual acts could be proven, and the reason why is because Tokata herself stepped in and said that there was never any sexual or physical abuse by Ezra. But, I mean, you were psychologically manipulated and groomed by this guy for 5 years. Of course you would say that. The worst Ezra has received in this court case was a restraining order, and that's it. Look, it is beyond obvious that this guy is just a textbook manipulator preying on the young and or impressionable to get whatever he wants. Like, boys, I want to make this clear. I haven't even told you everything this guy has done in this video. I didn't talk about how he abducted a mother and 3 kids into his private farm in Vermont, a farm full of guns and marijuana, by the way. I didn't talk about how he actually started a cult in an Airbnb in Iceland. Guys, I have only scratched the surface with this guy. I have only scratched the surface. Now, as I've been saying, anyone at this point would be immediately canceled after hearing about shit like this. Literally anybody. So, once again, let's take a look at the woke police on social media. Let's look at Warner Brothers as a company as well. Do any of them even have a response? Well, they both actually do this time. That's good, I guess. What was it, you ask? Well, let's look at this article here. Warner Brothers is reportedly considering scrapping The Flash altogether as a last resort. They are considering it. They are considering it. Johnny Depp gets instantly shit-canned without a second thought on baseless accusations, and Ezra Miller, after all the shit he's done so far, is only getting fired as a last resort. Nope, no double standards there. Nope, not at all. Now let's get even more infuriated by taking a look at Twitter and TikTok and all the usual places where you see sheltered cucks try to demonize celebrities. What is their response to this? Well, in the past they have not had a response to Miller's antics at all, but now they're finally getting involved as of these new pedophile accusations. And what is the Twitter mob saying, you ask? Don't misgender them! No, don't misgender them! His pronouns are they and them! That's right! No, don't do that! Yeah, that's right. They don't give a fuck. Their only concern is that they title him with proper pronouns. Check this shit out. Let's read some of the juicy responses people have had on Twitter now. The Ezra Miller news is really just showing how many cis people view pronouns as a privilege and not a right. Dear allies, by misgendering Ezra Miller, all you told your non-binary trans friends is that you only see us as our gender, and when we're nice and well-behaved. Your intentions and views are as transparent as glass or cellophane. Who gives a fuck? Ezra Miller assaulting women doesn't mean it's okay to misgender them. You don't get to dead name or misgender people just because you don't like them or do something bad. That's transphobic. Fuck Ezra Miller, but stop misgendering them! Boys, you remember back where if someone was crazy, you could just fucking call them crazy and that's the end of the story? You remember that? That was good times, wasn't it? Now, regardless on your opinion on any of these tweets or gender politics or any of that nonsense, that is not the issue. The issue at hand is that there's a psychotic pedo on the loose, and these cucks are only concerned about identity politics. And the fact that Warner Brothers is only considering getting rid of him as a last resort, and Twitter is more concerned about gender politics, is all predicated off of a desire to express and display inclusiveness. It all boils down to that. That's what this all is at its core. It's a desire to look inclusive and make sure inclusivity is being enforced. That is what this is. But here's the deal. Inclusivity is not the act of giving anyone special treatment. It is the act of making sure everyone is treated fairly. Society as a whole seems to not realize that. And as a result, it creates inclusivity bias. But hey, that's perfectly fine. It's all fine. You want to know why it's all fine? Because he apologized. Yep, that's it. He gave up a public apology. And that's all. All crimes are forgiven. Nobody is concerned anymore. Warner Brothers still has him under his wing to this very solitary day. And he is not imprisoned. It's all fine. Because he's really sorry, guys. Let's read the public apology now. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health. Yo, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that one episode of South Park during the BP oil spill, and the dude was just like, "We're really sorry. Sorry." This is such bullshit. This is like some generic Michael Vick PR shit. What the fuck is this, bro? I want to apologize for everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy and productive stage in my life. How much money do you want to bet that this motherfucker didn't even write this? But yeah, it's fine. Everything that I just talked about in this video, all these things that I just displayed to you, it's all fine. Because he's totally sorry. Guys, he's sorry, it's fine. Never mind all the people that are still recovering from the shit that he's done. Never mind the fact that he's more than likely still very easily capable of contacting the people that he's been abusing, like his little cult followers that I never got into, but never mind that. But yeah, forget all of that shit because all is well now. Because he's really sorry, guys. He's really sorry. So, let's get a quick recap. Drake Bell gets cancelled for pedophilia and child endangerment. Vic Mignogna gets cancelled and fired for mere accusations that were not proven in any way. Johnny Depp gets fired for false accusations in court from a manipulative psychopath. But Ezra Miller can beat women, burglarize houses, groom children, start cults, get arrested multiple times, be a public disturbance time and time again, threaten people with firearms, threaten people on camera, kidnap families, and prey on children. And guess what? It's all perfectly fine. Because he's non-binary. And he's really sorry about what he did. It is infuriating that this guy is even capable of still walking the streets with other normally functioning human beings. And the fact that this guy is 100% scot-free of all of his degenerate acts is a prime example of inclusivity bias. We've reached the end of the video, so it's time for the Patreon roll call. My $10 supporters are Syndrin7, Stormy Knight, Duke Dragon Hearthfire the 10th, Ellamations, Joseph Vincent, Procrastinator Dave, and Red Pixel Racer. And let's not forget our $5 supporters, Zephyr Zodiac, Captain Omni, Dark Damien, Dragonlight Z, Elijah Holland, Phaedra, Jambo J, Justin Ciccone, Travis, Wolfman, and Yumi with a gun. If you'd like to be in the credits of this video as well, catch me on patreon.com/blacklightjack. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.